unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Wow. Top Rank founder Bob Arum. He says Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury might take place outside of the United States, but wait, there's more, the UK. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Head over to Patreon right meow. I'm shifting some of the content to Patreon and the YouTube channel membership side of things. So to become a YouTube channel member, hit the join button next to the subscribe button. To become a Patreon member and look at the different tiers and whatnot, you click the link in the description. It helps the channel in an amazing way. And, I got a lot of stuff in store that I'm, lining up for you guys. Another great way to support the channel is click the link in the description, get ESPN Plus, and there's a ton of original series, exclusive, BTS, you name it, archive fights. Get ESPN Plus as a standalone app, tons of content. If you want more than that, you can bundle it. ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Get the bundle, all three, one price for all three of those apps, $12.99 a month. And it helps the channel in a phenomenal way when you guys click on that link. Let's get it. Now, Bob Arum has done several interviews talking about, heavyweight action. Joshua Pulev, he talked about Fury and Joshua and how it's not likely it'll happen. But one fight that is likely to happen, they're just working on the logistics, is Wilder versus Fury Part 3. In fact, Wilder has exercised a rematch clause for that particular fight. So this is not surprising. I've been telling you, you see Joshua's team and Eddie Hearn clout chasing and trying to say move over Wilder, step aside, we got this, we want Joshua Fury, biggest fight in Britain. It's all rubbish, because at the end of the day, it don't matter what Eddie Hearn is talking about. Wilder has a contract, a contractual clause, a rematch clause that enables him the ability to get some get back and another crack at the titles that he put on the line versus Tyson Fury. The title, the WBC coveted belt that he put on the line for Fury, not once but twice. Now Bob Arum has said, with this pandemic and all that's going around the world globally, that Wilder Fury 3, that's the next order of business, but it may take place outside of the USA and the UK. So very interesting. The UK, they have different parameters, and it doesn't look like it's likely to happen in the UK even. Bob Arum says, I'm just going to paraphrase here, but Bob Arum says if he had his way, he would have it like in LA or Vegas or something like that. But with this pandemic, it's kickboxing in his ass. And now the promoters have to scramble to make at least the major fights, especially because you got to look at the major fights. The major fights like a Wilder Fury 3, you've already built this up not once but twice. So it looks like this fight would crescendo. What I mean is get bigger and bigger as they fight. The two fighters, their style gels. They both have spark and personality and charisma and pizzazz. So they mesh well with each other. So you would imagine the third fight would probably do better than the first two. The first people didn't give Tyson Fury a chance, So not everybody ordered the pay-per-view thinking it was going to be a blowout, easy Wilder knockout. But Fury, he showed that he's formidable and his style works well and gels well with Deontay Wilder. And it was a roller coaster event, especially with the 12th round knockdown and Fury's boxing in the mid rounds, stuff like that. So the second fight was completely different. It's like one of those soap operas. You never know which character is going to get killed or shot, or what I'm saying. That's how Wilder Fury is. It's just, you don't really know what to expect. People thought Wilder was going to come back and destroy, me included. I thought Wilder was going to knock out Fury in the rematch, but it was the opposite. He got knocked out. He lost his belt, and he lost the rounds. So the third fight, without a doubt, the people are still talking about this. How I know the fight's big. People are still talking about Wilder, good, bad, or indifferent. They're still talking about him. So he's still the biggest star in boxing, because you see more people talk. Even though Fury has the belt, you still hear Dillian White and stuff mentioning Wilder. You still hear conversation about Wilder and can Wilder win? Can Wilder improve? You know, Otto Wallin talking about if Wilder, like I said, good, bad, or indifferent, the name Wilder is still buzzing. Meanwhile, I don't really hear anybody talking about AJ like that. You know, I think people have lost hope. So I think Wilder Fury 3 is a big fight. This is what Bob Arum had to say. Quote, "We have proposals from entities in 2 countries that we're considering now. And when they become more concrete, which will probably be in the next week or so, we'll run them by PBC's people, because after all, there are partners in this promotion. And hopefully then we'll make an announcement. Right now we're looking into the fight in the 4th quarter of this year, and we're probably going to do it outside of the United States and outside of the UK." He says you just can't do an event without making up the $17 million in gate revenue that you would otherwise lose. You can't do it. That's what Bob Arum said. So the bad thing about the pandemic, aside from, you know, people being sick and losing lives and unemployment, furloughs and recessions, you know, just people scared. In terms of the boxing thing, the bad side is Bob Arum. He's absolutely right, people. When it comes to a major fight, I really feel a lot of the promoters and networks, they're going to be hesitant unless they get some type of reassurance that they're going to get these fights and get a lot of money for the fights and compensate for the no crowd. Like, for example, I think we might get, you know, DAZN came out the game and out the gate saying pay-per-view is dead. Oh, the contrary. Now with this pandemic, you may actually see an influx of pay-per-view. You know why? Because like Bob Arum is saying, you can't, that fight broke the record of Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield rematch in Vegas and did a crazy live gate for a heavyweight fight, you know? So how do you make up for that monies that is lost if you have the inability per jurisdictions and mandates and orders from the government, you know, federal things? How do you make up that money that you lose at concessions in the live gate? They sell shirts and merchandise. You got the crowd energy. You got the crowd buying tickets, crowd buying beer and alcohol, hot dogs, cotton candy, all that stuff. How do you account for that? How do you make up for that loss? So now big fights, especially like Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko, or even bigger, in my opinion, Wilder versus Fury 3, you got to make it make sense. The logistics have to make sense for the fight to even happen. Otherwise, the fight's not going to happen. If the promoters and the networks feel it's going to be an instant loss, like we can't sell this on pay-per-view, or if they try, let's say they try Lomachenko and Teofimo on pay-per-view and it bombs, then they're going to be hesitant to do certain fights like that, and instead put Teofimo in there with the tune-up fight, or Lomachenko in tune-up fights where it doesn't cost that much money in terms of fighters' salaries and purses and all that to mandate. You know, like Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin, Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwarzenegger. You know, make these goofy fights that nobody wants to see because they're cheaper. You know, it's cheaper to keep. And that's my fear for boxing is, you know, you might see different things happen post-pandemic because we're still going through it. And if you can't have large gatherings and crowds, that's a good majority of the cushion that these promoters and networks have in boxing of making their money, you know. And like Bob Arum saying, you can't just replace $17 million and then do Fury versus Wilder unless you're getting crazy money from another country like Saudi Arabia, and they're paying up an insane site fee to the point where it makes the promoters and the networks comfortable running the fight because they're like, okay, we're getting more money than we probably would have got on a live gate, so that's cool. And some countries have money like that, like Saudi Arabia and Macau, China. They have that type of money where they can pay for the attraction to get that attraction on their soil. They have the money that they could pay this ridiculous amount And that's what it's going to take to make fights like Wilder versus Fury, I would imagine, especially if there's no crowd. Or you go to those areas like, let's say, Saudi Arabia. They can make it, it's a kingdom. They make up their own rules. They can say we have a crowd or we don't have a crowd. You know, they can decide that more so than in America. You know, if it's non-essential business and stuff like that, it might be frowned upon or protested, stuff like that. So abroad, you can get away with different things and you can make some money. So it looks like that's kind of what it's coming to for Wilder Fury. Me, it's an adjustment for everybody. This whole pandemic, this whole situation, it's unprecedented times. This is brand new. And kudos to PBC and Top Rank. They're trying to figure it out. You know, they're trying to, everybody, UFC, all these guys are just trying to figure out what's the next logical step, what makes business sense, but gets boxing back, combat sports back. And it's going to take some time. It might be a little bit of trial and error because nobody anticipated it. Nobody expected a pandemic that affected everybody so widely where you can't leave the house or you got to wear masks and all this stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is just crazy. It's crazy times and they're trying to figure it out. So kudos to that. Wilder Fury definitely is a good fight. I don't think Wilder is out of the fight. Like some people are saying he don't have the tools to adjust and adapt and, you know, he can't beat Fury. Man, Otto Wylin said that. I don't agree with none of that because Wilder has the type of power where like bump all that tools and experience and all that stuff. He has the type of power. It don't matter what you doing if he connects that shot. I just watched PBC just reran the Brazil knockout. Brazil is a big dude. It took Joshua 9 rounds to get him out of there, and Wilder landed the right shot, a single shot, and it destroyed Brazil. And he was on the ground looking in bad shape, stretched all the way out, falling any type of way. Same thing. I was at that fight. I was at the Luis Ortiz 2 fight. These are severe knockouts, you know. So Wilder has that type of power. He's always going to be in a fight unless Fury does what he did in the second fight. Again, if Wilder has no answers and can't get his punches off and has learned nothing, then okay, it's going to be a bad night. But you can imagine Wilder, he complained or whatever they're saying. Allegedly, he said the suit was a problem, so he's not going to do that. So that's one adjustment right there. If he says his legs felt dead before the bell rang, right, then you know he's going to come in light, maybe just wear a mask like the old school Bronze Bomber. So he always has the ability to make adjustments. Can he outbox, you know, willfully outbox Fury for 12 rounds? Probably not. But I don't think he'd be coming to do that. That's why I don't understand why people are acting like Wilder has no chance. Wilder has constantly fought guys who are technically better than him. Prime example is Luis Ortiz twice. Luis Ortiz, we all know from a technicality experience, they said he had 500, 600 amateurs or something ridiculous. He comes from the Cuban school of boxing. So none of that mattered as long as Wilder stayed, you know, relatively safe, didn't get too badly hurt and stuff like that, especially in the second fight. And then he waited, took his time, and he landed the shot. Another benefit with this pandemic for Wilder is I think his turnaround was a little bit too quick from the November, because it was right by Thanksgiving. I went to that fight. The Luis Ortiz fight was in late November, and he's already fighting Fury by February. So that was a little bit of a quick turnaround. Not really much time to rest. You don't know what he did for the holidays. He might want to celebrate a little bit, ate a little bit, stuff like that. So now with this pandemic, it puts everyone more on a level playing field, and it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Holla at that ESPN Plus affiliate link. It does help the channel. And let me know what you guys think of Wilder Fury happening. Are you more concerned with it happening or happening in America? You know, it's crazy times because I know ESPN Plus, they wanted Fury, all of his fights that they have contracted for ESPN, they wanted them in America, but you know, you got to adjust and you got to adapt. So it sucks for the fans because this is a fight that people want to have in their memory bank. Like, oh, I watched Wilder Fury 3, but business must go on. It's a saga that needs to be wrapped up. And, you know, we got to see what happens. We got to give the champ Wilder an opportunity at his belt back. So at the end of the day, I just want to see it. You know, I don't know about if media is going to be allowed to cover it like that. This is all brand new. So let me know what you guys think of media and fans possibly not being able to cover the fight. Drop that in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think of Bob Arum's recent statements. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.